Hi, this is The Greatest Story Ever Played. I'm Dan.
I'm Jordan.
And today we're going to be talking about the finale of Life is Strange, Episode 5, called Polarized. Jordan has a summary about the episode for us.
Yeah, so Max learns that time is impossible to control as she moves inexorably towards the most agonizing decision of her life. Arcadia Bay, meanwhile, is preparing to weather a huge storm as Life is Strange comes to a gripping and gut-wrenching conclusion.
Accurate.
Yes, completely accurate.
So the episode picks up right where we left the last episode with Max inside the darkroom. We go through a lot in this bit. This is pretty creepy, pretty dark. Like Jefferson is full evil at this point. And we have Max travel through a couple different photographs to try to become free. I think she uses one to travel to earlier in the night when she wasn't so drugged up. And then she uses another one to go back in time and try to just do different things to change things. Mm-hmm. This is something unique. This didn't happen in our game, but I looked online. Victoria is actually in the darkroom if we successfully warn her in the last episode. So if we tell her, Nathan's bad, be afraid. For us, it didn't work. She got mad. If it does work, she goes and tells Mr. Jefferson about it.
Oh.
And then he captures her.
Oh, shit.
So it worked out that we weren't bad, or that she didn't believe us.
That's good.
Yeah, but I didn't know that.
So she'd be in there with you?
Yeah, so you're both in the dark room, which is fucked.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, so that's pretty wild. During one of Max's time travels, she texts David about Jefferson, but she enters the Everyday Heroes contest. I think she thinks that, that'll get me one-on-one with him or something to be able to solve this. Mm-hmm. But David is able to bust Jefferson. Jefferson gets arrested. Max wins the Everyday Hero contest, and then she wakes up on an airplane with Principal Wells to San Francisco for the Everyday Heroes contest winners. Then we end up in a sequence where she's in San Francisco traveling with Principal Wells, meeting all these art people, and it's nice.
Yeah, it's like the perfect ending, or so it seems.
Right. You're like, wow, this is working out great. And then Max gets a phone call from Chloe. You can hear wind in the background. She says, a storm is destroying Arcadia Bay. You were right. Please help, basically. So Max then has to travel back through a photo again, her photo that's at the Everyday Heroes contest, to get back to not be there. Yeah,
so she's just going, through 20 different pictures. Yeah, this part's kind of stressful because just didn't know where it was going to end. Well, I didn't. It's like, where's she going to end up? And then ends up right back in the dark room. Right. Back at square one, initially captured, just waking up in the dark room. Yeah,
this is crazy because it also feels like time's... Oh, when we see time getting fucked up. Because in one of the pictures she goes through, it's red and blotchy and shit. Mm-hmm. When she tears up the photo in her room, I think, to get back to the dark room.
Yeah.
I think that's the one. So it's time is it seems like time is being ruined a little bit because she just kept going through them. And so it seems like all these alternate timelines are being made.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It's just ruining time itself.
Right. Time itself is getting messed up. So then we're back in the dark room, like you said. And fortunately, David's here to rescue Max. And he has a fight with Jefferson, and we have to help him through it to not get killed. He got killed a lot, unfortunately.
In ours, probably 15 to 20 times.
Yeah, we did it wrong quite a lot. So
yep.
David's died a lot.
Yep. Oops.
But he is able ultimately to subdue him, and he knocks Jefferson out and handcuffs him. Mm-hmm. And then David asks us, okay, where's Chloe, though?
Yeah, and then at this point, so this was the first and almost last decision in this episode where we can either tell David Chloe's dead, Mr. Jefferson killed her, or just kind of lie and be like, oh, she's out, we're going to find her, whatever. So we actually, the first time, told David we told David that Mr. Jefferson ended up killing Chloe, and then he shoots Mr. Jefferson, and we're like, I feel like he should go to jail and be in prison for the rest of his life. In my opinion. So we ended up rewinding it, and then we told him nothing, that Chloe was just safe, and he didn't kill Mr. Jefferson. So that was actually, on the rewind, we got the 52%, which is, we didn't tell David. So 48% did tell David that Jefferson killed Chloe. Yeah. So then he ends up killing Jefferson. Right.
Yeah, and for me, I don't mind that Jefferson gets killed. He deserves it. He's a monster. Mm-hmm. But I didn't want David to go to jail. Because especially David coming through at this moment, we had all these bad interactions with him in the past, and he's, not a great guy at all, but he does show up here and saves the day.
Yeah.
And so he doesn't deserve to go to jail. Like,
yeah.
He has problems. One thing that I did sort of like in this is when we did say that Chloe died, he gets really sentimental about Chloe, and you see all these feelings about him that he has towards Chloe that you would have never known. Yeah. Like, I care about her so much. I really want to protect my family. Like, Chloe's really important to me and stuff like that, which I'd never... My original play, I didn't tell him either because I thought he might do something like that, so I didn't tell him. So I never knew that he felt that way. So that was cool to hear, like, that he's an idiot sometimes and an asshole, but... Also, like, he does care about his family, and he did come through here, so, he definitely gets points for that.
Yeah, definitely. After, like, we saw his reaction and how fucked up he felt, it's like, if we're going to save Chloe anyway, at least try to, why even tell him to make him go through that? Like, it just doesn't, it almost seems, like, inhumane to make him feel so bad for no reason. Right, because that was my thought, and once I started this episode, it was like, save Chloe at all costs. Like, I'm going through that photo that Warren has. I'm going to find it. I'm going to get her back. Like, yep. And so part of me felt like none of the things I do here matter. Yeah. Like, because I'm saving her. That's my goal or whatever. We've got some feedback on Twitter about this decision too. And Chris on Twitter says, I kept her death from him. I was going to save her anyways. So kind of that similar thought of, I'm going to save her so he doesn't need to know. Yeah, then we got Fred on Twitter. He said, I told him the truth, and he shot Jefferson. He would have found out sooner or later anyway. Also, a bolt in the head was the way he deserved. Which, like, I agree, but also I feel like he deserved to be in prison for the rest of his life. I mean, I'm not even because it's, like, quote-unquote more humane, but I think because it's worse, because then you have to rot in jail for the rest of your life. Like, yeah, if Jefferson had to go, like, max security or something. Yeah, which he probably would have. I mean, he killed, like, and tortured multiple young girls, it's like, yeah, throw them in there with the real convicts, let them sort it out. Yeah, he might not make it very long. So either way, it's like, I don't know. And then since David shot him, he'd probably go to jail. Yeah, that's what he did murder him. That'd be my concern for David. Chris on Twitter says, I thought he deserved the truth, so I told him, and he put a bullet in Jefferson's dome. Yep. Seems like a common thread. Yeah. And Beth on Twitter said, honestly, I tell him so he shoots Jefferson because I find it cathartic. I'm not proud of this. Then I rewind and don't tell David because I don't want him to be in pain unnecessarily. So it seems like all of these kind of combined into like the factors we thought of. Yeah. And ended up having David not feel bad, but we still saw him shoot Jefferson. And yeah. I feel like it wasn't enough, though. Jefferson kind of deserves more than that. No, yeah. In my opinion. It's too quick. Yeah. I like Beth's way of thinking, too. It's interesting. Like, it's cathartic for me to have David kill him, but then I go back so that it's, back to normal. So I'm really interested. I'd be interested to know how she uses the time powers in the game. It seems like she thinks about time in the game pretty different than how I would. Like, yeah. I didn't rewind very often. Like, most of the time it was like, it happened, that's what happened, Yeah. But, her having that, I think that's pretty interesting. So, very cool. Yeah. Cool thoughts. So then Max leaves in Jefferson's car to go to Warren to get the photo from the night before, the drunk selfie he took before the party. Yeah. So she goes to the diner because that's where Warren is in the storm. And we get this voicemail from Nathan that I thought was noteworthy. It says, Max, it's Nathan. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. I didn't want to hurt Kate or Rachel, or I didn't want to hurt anybody. Everybody used me. Mr. Jefferson is coming for me now. All this shit will be over soon. Watch out, Max. He wants to hurt you next. Sorry. This gives you a little bit of empathy for Nathan. I mean, he's a little bit awful. Yeah. He's awful, but you can tell just how afraid and alone he is in this. And even, like, he obviously has his own mental health issues. Like, yeah. He's an asshole, but he has problems, and Jefferson obviously manipulated him and, like, for sure, took advantage of all of that. And Nathan's dead in the ground somewhere. Yep. For it. In defenseless, because he doesn't have a gun, because we took it. Oops. When we beat him up. Yep. So, it's not like it's even a fair thing. Like, he's done. Yeah. So that's pretty sad for him.
even if he's a jerk. Then, outside of Two Whales Diner, you see a lot of the destruction
it's
that
pretty
the storm has brought. You see various dead people, buildings are broken, and you have a lot of opportunities to save various people who have different things that come for them. My first time playing, I didn't save anyone because I was like, well, this isn't real because I'm saving Chloe. So I just let everyone die the first time I played.
Yeah.
Which I don't think was right. This time we saved people. You saved a lot of them.
Yeah, I saved 3 or 4. But yeah, it was kind of... I kept thinking, like, what's the point? You know, like, they're not going to be... We're going to go back in time anyway with Warren's photo. So, like, this won't have ever happened to them. Theoretically, I don't know how time necessarily works. But, you know, like, it did feel kind of like a waste of time. But at the same time, I felt kind of bad walking by, like, a trucker that was stuck under a log. It's like,
right, see ya.
I'll take 5 seconds and,
I gotta go to Two Whales.
Yeah. Or, like, there's that annoying guy that was the fisherman that was stuck in the building.
Oh, yeah.
Electricity, we shocked him a couple different times.
Right. That took a little bit to figure out.
Yeah, the one was funny. You have to actually kill him to get through and then rewind time. So you have to end up killing this guy to save him. It's just, like, really funny.
Yeah. That I wonder, I guess, yeah, this is probably a weird time thing, too. But so if you save them here, then you go back, does your help from before still count?
What do you mean?
So, like, we saved these people.
Yeah.
Right? But then we go back in time, and then the storm still happens.
Yeah.
Like, if it happens later, does your assist from previous count in the future? Or is it just gone?
Well, we wouldn't be down there to help them.
So, okay, so then they'd still be back in their same situations.
I guess so. Or maybe a little bit different.
Because, yeah, I don't know. Because I guess if it counts, then you saving them here is important because then you end up saving them later.
Maybe.
If not, then, like, they're in the same situation and then it's still kind of... Someone else has to help them or they have to figure it out themselves.
Which they probably died in.
Yeah, so I don't know. I'm not sure. But I guess if it does make that impact, if, like, the future still impacted positively again, then when I didn't save everyone, that's bad.
You end up killing them.
Then they're all dead.
Yeah.
Oops.
Oh, well.
But it's pretty crazy. The mayhem you see here is pretty good. I like this. We get to the diner, finally, and save it from exploding and stuff like that. And Joyce is there, Frank's there, Warren's there, and Pompidou, and some injured guy.
Yeah.
And you're given the opportunity to talk to all of them. When we played, we didn't talk to Joyce or Frank. We just talked to Warren. Because I think we were kind of get in and get out. We got to go to Chloe.
Yep, that was my thought process. Like, I don't really care about these people right now. Chloe is all that really matters.
Yeah, and I think even the same thought of, like, this won't happen anyway, so I'm just going to get to Chloe.
Yeah, I think we even had a brief conversation about that. I think I, like, asked you, like, should we do anything with them? It's not going to matter.
Yeah, so I'd actually never talked to Joyce or Frank before. I didn't talk to them in my first playthrough either.
Okay.
Because Frank was dead. And
savage.
Yeah. Yep. And I just didn't talk to Joyce. But so you get opportunities to talk to them. So with Joyce, you have the opportunity to convince her to go back to David. Because when David kicks out of the house, when we had that argument with him a few episodes. Yeah. So you can either get Joyce to believe in David again or say, Joyce, do what you want. And then she's like, I'm free of David. This is good. Me and Chloe are all the family that we need. 32% of people convince David to believe in David again, and 68% of people don't do that. I'm thinking that a lot of the people are like us who didn't talk to her.
Yep.
In the conversation, you basically can be like, David, like, really cares. Like, he saved me today. You get to kind of express these good things about him. And that kind of convinces Joyce. Or you can be kind of like, do what you want. And then she's kind of like, well, this has gone on far enough. I don't want him anymore. Okay. So that's the conversation you have with them. So we were in the majority of not saying anything. Then, with Frank, you have the opportunity to talk about Rachel with him. So 60% of people told Frank the truth about Rachel. And 40% of people didn't. We didn't, because, again, we didn't talk to him.
Talk to him at all.
And this one, I'm guessing a lot more people did talk to Frank, since 60% told him. And this conversation is pretty rough. I wish we would have played it, actually, in our go, because you tell him, and he, like, realizes, oh, it's my drugs that I sold Nathan that Rachel overdosed on, and I cared about her, and now she's dead, and it's my fault.
Yeah.
It's pretty rough. Like, this... We talked a couple episodes ago about sympathy towards Frank and stuff like this. This one, I felt like...
Upped it
a bit, because I mean, he fucked up and he's questionable at best, probably, but just knowing that his lifestyle really hurt someone he cared about in such a big way and how he botched it, like, that was rough.
Yep.
Then last we get to talk to Warren.
Yeah, so on Warren, we ended up... So I guess there's 3 options. We could kiss Warren, just don't show him any affection, be cold, or give him a hug. So we ended up kissing him, which is what 74% of people did. 22% hugged him, and then 4% didn't show him any affection. I'm interested to see why that is. But I was thinking about this specifically, and I know that it sounds like most people, when they have the option to kiss Chloe, they did that, right?
Yeah.
So it's interesting that most people here would kiss Warren.
Yeah.
It seems like would be on the hugging side, based on the fact that...
If they kissed Chloe.
Yeah, because then you'd be like, I want to like date Chloe or be with Chloe, not Warren. So yeah, I was thinking about that, and like, this number seems higher than I would thought it would have been.
Yeah, that is kind of surprising. Maybe it's kind of a like farewell kiss, like
yeah.
You're probably dead, so yep. I want to give you like one last good thing before I'm out.
Before I leave you to your death.
Yeah.
Man, that 4% of people that's fucked up.
Yeah, they must really not like Warren.
I loved Warren. He was awesome.
Yeah, I think some people don't like him. Like, I think he's a creeper.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've seen some people say that. I didn't really feel that way. Like, he just seems like a weird nerd. But, like, our weird nerd, because Max is also sort of a weird nerd. So,
yeah.
I liked him as a friend, personally.
Me too. He was just goofy and, like, helped when he could and beat the fuck out of Nathan Force that one time. That was great.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, I'll kiss you once. Whatever.
Yeah.
So, payment.
Right. So, then we travel back through Warren's photo, and we're back at the episode from last week, right before we go into the Vortex Club party with Nathan and Chloe. And Chloe's on her, fuck it, I'm killing Nathan
yep.
attitude, like, will not be stopped kind of thing. And we convince her that we need to stay at her house, because she's going to get killed by Jefferson when we go in there. Like, it's going to lead to bad stuff. So we just need to hold up at your house, because then we're not going to be in any of these situations. We're just in. I won't end up in the dark room, whatever. And to do this, we have to tell her that we let William die. We actually went back and we had to let that happen.
So painful.
Because you were paralyzed and you asked me to kill you and we couldn't do it. Like, this is rough. And we have to tell her that we were in the dark room and stuff. Like, it's pretty rough. Like,
yeah, basically just come clean on all the little side adventures we've been having. Right.
All the side adventures. And it, like, breaks through her. Like, she's like, oh, I'm sorry you had to do any of that. Like, you know, yeah, let's do that. Like, it totally changes her, because she was, like, 100% like, I'm going to go kill Nathan. Yeah. And I mean, I think this is probably the only thing that could have softened her, because we tried to, like, argue more softly, and she wasn't having it at all.
No, yeah, she was like, I don't care what you say, I'm killing him.
Right. Then, time fast forwards again, and we arrive back on the current timeline, so Friday night or whatever, and we are with Chloe on the beach, and we're getting ready to head to the White House. Or, not White House. Lighthouse. Not the White House. The Lighthouse. Yeah, we're getting ready to head there because I guess we told Chloe that that's where we should go. So we fall out of consciousness, and we go into basically Max's nightmare, where we spend a good portion of this episode, and it's pretty crazy. Yeah. It's pretty wild. I ended up writing a bunch of this stuff down because I thought it was fairly noteworthy. So first we wake up in Jefferson's class, first day of school.
This was so weird.
And hear him being a total weirdo. Like, I could catch any of you in a dark place. Yeah. And you're like, oh my god, you were a monster from the beginning.
This makes sense now.
Yeah, but we didn't know it. So we go through that, and having to hear about daguerreotypes and Victoria being an asshole again, all that. Then we wake up in our dormitory, and we walk through it, and it's like a weird maze, almost. Yeah. And we go through, and first we're Max, normal, and we go to our room. Then we are Max, but wearing Rachel Amber's clothes. Yeah. And we have to go to Rachel's dorm when she went to Blackwell. And then we're Victoria. Yeah. Which was weird. And then we go to Victoria. So, I mean, you know, it's getting trippier by the minute. Then we're in the hallway at Blackwell, where we were at the first episode, except everything is going backwards.
Yeah, it's just really trippy. This whole sequence was like, what is happening? Is this real? Is time so screwed up that, like, It's just screwed up. I don't know.
Right. Is it? Yeah. Did time break and we're living in the broken time? This is crazy. Everything's backwards. So it's like the song that started the game is going backwards. Everyone's names are written backwards. Everyone's like walking backwards down the hallway.
They're talking backwards. It's really funny.
Yeah, talking backwards. So it's just like blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
It's super weird. Like very strange. But then we make it into the bathroom because you see it's kind of like shining, like it's heaven or something. And we go into there. Then we arrive at this maze, which I hate and find very annoying.
The flashlights and finding the bottles, yeah. I just passed I was actually playing at this point. I was like, Dan, just do it. I just don't want to do this.
Yeah, this part sucks. This is like my biggest part I didn't like in the game, or this sequence. I think I'd go back to the nightmare sequence more if I didn't have to play this part. But it's really annoying. You have to find bottles. There's like Jeffersons with flashlights and Principal Wells's and David and Frank's and a creepy Warren. Like, it's dumb. I didn't really like that. Once we collect the bottles, we sit down on a bench, and then we wake up inside the snow globe at Chloe's house when you're a kid. And it's William looking for the keys, which is bad. But then you have a series of text messages you can look at that I thought were noteworthy.
Oh, these are terrible.
These are rough. Chloe, who's paraplegic, texts and says, Max, this is your old pal Chloe. Hear that you left in a wheelchair in another reality. Did I thank you before you bailed to a new life? Not only did you blow off my request, you already jumped into another photo. How many fucking times are you going to abandon me, hippie?
God. That's bad.
Yeah. It's rough.
Yeah.
Then William says, Hey, Max, would you say hi to Chloe and Joyce? Don't forget to remind them that you let me die.
Yep.
Rachel, Amber texts and says, Hey, Max, Rachel Amber here. Just wanted to introduce myself. I'll be seeing you soon. Real soon. So this is crazy. Like, you're seeing Max's insecurities or insecurities of timelines past just coming in on her pretty aggressively. Then it gets more aggressive because we wake up in the dark room again. And you get these crazy sequences of Max's insecurities regarding other people realized big time. So you have Jefferson and Chloe doing like a photo shoot. And, you know, Jefferson's like, oh, you're, like, way cooler than Max. And Max is like, oh, yeah, she's just, like, a baby, basically. Like, it's pretty weird. Then you get Chloe and Warren, and they start making out and talk about how they're both like each other way more than Max. Then it's Nathan and Chloe, and, like, they're talking about hooking up and how, like, they're mature and Max is a child. Then you have Chloe and Victoria, and they start making out, and how, like, you know, how could Max ever like being your friends with you? Like, you're cool, basically. And then it's paraplegic Chloe shows up and then just confronts Max for like, you were giving powers and you couldn't do anything to save anyone. Like, you're a failure, basically.
Yeah, this sucked.
This is like rough. Like, it just keeps turning up. Like, the texts were rough. Then you see all these sequences, and I mean, it's like all of Max's, I think, outer insecurities are just coming in hardcore. Like, anything she's been insecure about another person with, you got it all, like, in this section, and it's pretty rough. Then you wake up in Two Whales Diner. Like, everyone from the town is there. And you can, like, walk by them, and they'll, like, say kind of some comment, like, you let me die.
Like mean things about you. Right?
Yeah, mean things, pretty minor. But then you get to sit down with you. Nightmare Max is there.
Nightmare Max.
And I pulled out a longer quote from that, so I guess we'll go back and forth. I guess I'll be Nightmare Max. Do you want to be regular Max?
For sure.
And go through on this, seeing, I guess, Max's insecurities to herself, about herself. It was pretty interesting.
Cool. So, again, I'm regular Max. Who are you?
Holy shit. Are you Serial? I mean, you dumbass. Or one of the many Maxes you've left behind.
Can you get me out of here?
Oh, so you want help? Thought you can control everybody and everything, huh? Twist time around your fingers?
I tried to help. I only wanted to do the right thing.
No, you only wanted to be popular. And once you got these amazing powers, your big plan was to trick people into thinking you actually give a rat's ass.
I do care. That's why I was trying to make friends.
By telling people what they want to hear? You were just looking for a shortcut because you can't make friends on your own.
That's not true. I have great friends. I've used my powers for good.
Please, stop playing innocent. You're such a goddamn hypocrite. You left a trail of death and suffering behind you.
That's not my fault, you son of a bitch.
Don't you dare talk about our mom that way. Ha. What about the crap that is your fault? Wait, let me guess. You fucked up time and space for your precious punk Chloe? You think she's worth all that? So yeah, Max's insecurity is going toe-to-toe with her here. Yeah, this is pretty crazy.
Yeah, this was one of the more interesting moments of this game, I think. Like, I wonder if this dialogue would be different if we made different choices. Do you know if that's true or not? Like, so some of the responses from like Nightmare Max, like wanting to be popular and telling people what they want to hear. I wonder if we had responded differently to different things if we had.
It's some of both, I think.
Okay.
I know that like the wanted to be popular one, that one I think is there no matter what. Because when I played the first time, I was really confused because I didn't talk to like any side characters and never rewinded. So I was like, "What do you mean? I didn't do any of that." I was confused, but it was still impactful because like someone saying that about you is like, you don't know how to make friends on your own. You're like, "Ouch!" Like, that's so mean.
You might not be wrong, but this is sad.
Right, coming at my neck.
Yeah.
But there are some, I think, especially based on like your dialogue responses, can be a little in there, I think. Then from here, we fall out of this. We're in a... no, we're not in the bathroom. That was before this. We go through Max and Chloe's kind of key moments through the game. Mm-hmm. This is pretty interesting. It's like being at the Hall of Fame of the game almost. Like, so you go and it's like when you got dared to kiss, or being in the pool, or when you're saving her on the train tracks, or like, I don't know, 10 or 12 moments that were big in the game. And you get to kind of see all of them and hear like 2 or 3 pieces of dialogue from. It's pretty cool. Like, I really like this as a like way to head to the end.
I feel like it made the end way more brutal because like Nightmare Max asks you did all this for your like punk Chloe. Was she worth all that? And then it kind of reminds you, here's all the things you did. Is it worth it? And then they hit you with the next thing. You're like,
right. So then you wake up from your nightmare. You're on the cliff at the lighthouse in the present timeline. Chloe says, I know how we can fix this. I have the photograph that you took of the butterfly in the bathroom that you gave to me when you were at my house, the first episode, in exchange for my dad's camera. Or whatever, not in exchange, but gifts to each other or whatever. You could go back through this and change all of this if you just let me die. The storm won't come and we can save everyone. And super emotional and rough. Like this is maybe one of the best cutscenes I feel like in any game.
Yeah.
It's like rough.
This was just terrible.
Yeah.
Just awful. I think I was playing at this point.
Yeah.
And I just kind of looked at you and was like, what the fuck, dude? Like, how dare you
Right.
make me play this game? I think I had to take like a bathroom break to think about it.
No, yeah, it was like, yeah. So then she says, you're the only one that can make this choice. Choices. Sacrifice Chloe, sacrifice Arcadia Bay.
So, we definitely sacrificed Arcadia Bay. I think it was like, I had to think about it for a little bit, but I was like, nah, I'm just kill everybody, I don't care. Chloe's like the most important priority.
Right.
And so, yeah, the 2 choices. This was pretty close. So 48% of people choose to sacrifice Arcadia Bay, and so 52% choose to sacrifice Chloe, which I guess I'm not that surprised by because this is a huge decision. And like,
right.
But I'm also kind of surprised that it's not more in favor of sacrificing Arcadia Bay.
Yeah.
I'm kind of surprised by that.
Yeah. I wonder, it's pretty interesting. I think that there's some people who just don't like Chloe.
Yeah.
And so then they're like, easier said. And there's a lot of arguments both ways, which is cool. In a little while, we'll get to see a lot of feedback from people, which is cool.
Yeah.
And all the different ways to think about this tough decision. Yeah. For me, it was like, what made you, so in your thought process, what got you to like, it's got to be Chloe. Like, I have to save Chloe. Like, you can't do this.
I think a lot of it was just emotional. Like, we saw like that cutscene of just all the times with Chloe.
Right.
In the entire game, we've been playing like, okay, Chloe's the most important thing. And just so many things, man. Like, even seeing her as a paraplegic was like, shit. Like,
yeah.
This sucks. Or like how much shit she's been through with like her dad dying and then her best friend dying, how we abandoned her. It's like, we can't just kill her. I mean,
right.
After all the trouble we've gone through to protect her and save her and be friends again, like, And part of it, too, is kind of messed up. And I just didn't really care that much about the people in the town.
Yeah, right.
Part of it that made it difficult was, like, the interaction with Warren before we went back in time initially was like,
Right.
That kind of made it more difficult, which I'm sure they freaking planned that. Like,
right.
Freaking game designers make me feel and think. Like,
right.
There's a lot of small factors that kind of led up to, I just like Chloe's the main priority. Just mainly being emotional and seeing the cutscene before this was it.
No, yeah. I think that just each time you saved Chloe and stuff like that, there's a lot of attachment that you built to her. So when we, like, met her, when she saves us from getting beat up by Nathan at the first game, like, she's kind of standoffish, and we, like, it's, like, weird reconnecting, basically, you know? And it should be. I mean, we haven't been there for 5 years or whatever, like, all that. But then, like, you connect a lot over the 5 episodes leading up to this moment, you know, like, we've spent all this time, like, some of it's been really fun and nice, and, like, rekindling friendship. Other things have been huge, like finding her new best friend dead. Like,
yeah.
I mean, we've gone through, like, so much with her at this point. It's like, I can't not, you know, like, we've been through so much together. Like, I mean, it sucks so much that, like, everyone else dies because of this probably, but, like, I couldn't trade that, you know, like, we went through all this stuff together, and I want to keep going through stuff with you. Like, I would far rather at this point, like, do life with Chloe than to try life again without her. Like, yeah,
that makes sense.
You know, like, I don't know. I can't do that.
Yeah. And
for me.
I guess part of the reason too, throughout the entire, like, game, we hear how, like, shitty Arcadia Bay is, and, like, how there's, like, a darkness over the town. Like, it just seems like a really, just pretty unpleasant place to live. I don't exactly know why.
Right.
It's like, get rid of it. Just start over.
Yeah. I do think.
I felt too.
Yeah. I do think that, I guess, related to this is, as for the 2 cutscenes as the result of your choice, the Sacrifice Chloe one is far more long and way better and way more brutal.
Again, it's terrible.
It's like awful.
Man,
like,
holy shit.
You're in the bathroom, Nathan shoots her, you have to live through that again, and you go to the funeral, and, like, Spanish Sahara's playing. Like, it's just like, oh my god.
Yeah.
This is rough. Like, they did an excellent job on that ending. And then for the other one where you sacrifice the town, it is really nice having them, like, hold hands looking at it, and, like, you see the town kind of get swept away. Like, I thought that was really good, and Obstacles is awesome. Like, that's a good song too. They did that part well, but then you just drive through the town really quick.
Yeah,
and you like see a, like, black bag or whatever over a dead person, and then you just, like, leave.
Yeah.
And it's like, there was a lot left to be desired, I think, in that part. I don't know. I've heard that I saw online somewhere that maybe they ran out of money, so they couldn't do, like, 2 long endings.
Yeah.
Which I could see that, but I think that this ending would have hurt more, and I'd feel less at peace at it if we, like, saw the diner fall on Joyce and Warren.
Yeah.
Or if, you know, you see Victoria at the dorm rooms and something happens to her, or, you know, everyone. Because, I mean, it seems like the only way this choice can be fair is that probably everyone who's not David and Jefferson have to be dead, because at least they're in a bunker, so they could foreseeably survive. But, I mean, everyone else really has to probably die or be severely hurt for this to be, like, a real choice. Yeah. Like, you're not sacrificing the town if really only, like, a couple people die. Like, it can't just be like, oh, you ruined their economy. Like, it has to be like...
you literally chose to kill everyone.
You let everyone die.
Yeah.
You know, like...
Yeah.
So I would think that... I wish that was kind of in there, because I don't feel guilty about choosing Chloe, but I feel like I probably should feel a little bit guilty.
We did,
like,
choose to kill 500 some people,
right?
For one person, it's like,
right. That probably should feel a little worse.
Yeah, I mean, I don't care at all.
Right. I feel pretty firm in my like, belief or conviction that, like, gotta save Chloe. Like, she's our person, and we're gonna move forward in life after this kind of thing, and, like, I want to do that, but I do feel like we probably should feel worse about it, like Joyce being killed or Warren or something like that. Like, I wish they would have could have added, like, a scene or 2 of that, or even not having to see their death, but even just knowing it's happened. Like, Warren's talking to Joyce, and he's like, "I'm so scared," and then you see, like, the building fall down or something, and you're like, "All right, they're gone."
Yeah,
like,
they're dead.
You know, I think that would have been helpful.
I agree, and this is something I want to talk about at the end, but, like, already talking about it right now, so. Yeah, I think, so even looking at, like, part of the town, like the diner when they were like driving through at the end, it didn't look that bad.
Right.
Like the diner looked how it did when we like went back in time through the picture. So it was like, I'm assuming they're all dead because I think you're right. To make this choice real, they have to be dead.
Right.
But I think they could have done a better job of making it really clear. Okay, you did choose to kill everyone.
Yeah, they should have shown. I guess they should have shown it, or even if Chloe and Max, if it said like, 1 week later or something, and they just pulled up a newspaper that had like a death count.
Yeah.
Even that could have like.
Yeah.
Then you'd officially know. Mm-hmm. That even that could have been helpful, but
yeah, I wonder. So we saw the dead body with like the black thing over it.
Right.
Who did that?
Yeah.
Like who put that?
Right.
So someone's alive, like somewhere.
Is there one mystery? Helper going around and covering all the like probably not. Yeah, I think they kind of messed that part up a little bit,
very
but
small
really,
point though.
Yeah, very minor. The decision was still huge. Being able to see that, like, I don't know, that's fine. I would say that for doing this episode, for me, pretty much right, excluding the stupid finding the bottles and the nightmare. Otherwise, like, totally awesome. But,
yeah, I agree. Man, yeah, really good.
Yeah. But yeah, so like I mentioned, we've got a lot of feedback on that, so we'll go through it and dialogue with some of these points. So first we've got an email from Christopher, which says, "First off, I want to say I love the show and look forward to every episode. What pulled me in was that I saw you reviewing Life is Strange, one of my favorite series. At the time of this writing, you haven't reviewed episode 5, but I wanted to chime in with my 2 cents on why I choose Chloe and always will. As you play the series, you find the reason Chloe is the way she is because she's been abandoned by everyone she's ever cared about. Her father, Max, Rachel, and to an extent her mother. This caused her to look at life in a negative way, angry and untrusting of everyone. But over the course of the series, she begins to cope with these feelings and begins to lighten up and trust more. So when she asked Max to sacrifice her for Arcadia Bay, I couldn't. She says that the past week has been the best in a long time and that she's never forget it. The problem is, if you go back in time and allow Chloe to die, she'll never experience that week. She'll die alone and scared on a dirty bathroom, believing that everyone in her life has abandoned her. And I couldn't bring myself to go that route. So I decided that Chloe deserved a happy ending, even if it was the expense of the entire town. I've never regretted it, and have always chosen it as the option in any other playthrough I've done so far." I think that's something. Is so that week's real for you, but Chloe's never seen you again. Mm-hmm. If she dies in that bathroom, like, oh, that's brutal. Like, that's so sad. Like, your Max ghosted you 5 years ago. Your dad died around that time too. Rachel goes missing, and is dead. You don't know it yet, but like, that's like she was at a really rough place when we met her, and that's how you die. And I guess too, confronting Nathan for trying to like attack you. Yeah. Too, like in that, like her life's just been really rough. Like I definitely feel it. I'm like, Chloe, that sucks. Like that's real for Max, but it's not real for Chloe.
It's a good point. I didn't even consider that, so now I feel even more justified in saving Chloe. Thank you, Christopher.
Yeah. Thanks.
I'll get the next two, I guess. Since this one's small. Chris on Twitter, in all caps, said, "Save Chloe, no exceptions." I agree.
Strong feelings.
Yep, and I think that we feel them as well. Then we got Jazz on Reddit. Said, "I guess it is heavily influenced by your connection with Chloe throughout the game. Some see Chloe as just someone who has to be saved, but I don't. I loved Chloe too much to disregard her own will. She is really the hero if there needs to be one in the story, and not because of her last act, because of everything she did before. And this is just her tragic ending. Unfortunately, is the only one that lets her stay true to herself. If you choose to save her, you're definitely not doing it for her, you're doing it for you."
I thought this was an interesting thought about this.
Yeah.
It's for you instead of for Chloe. Because Chloe does make that plea, like, you've got to do it, you've got to save everyone, like, I've been selfish, let me do the right thing here.
Yeah, I see that. She doesn't really want to, because when you choose not to kill her or sacrifice her, she's okay with that too. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
I didn't think about it that way, though.
I could see it either way. For me, I felt like she maybe didn't want to, but I can see also that side of that. No, she really wanted this.
Yeah.
So.
Also, I'm okay with doing something for myself. Don't care.
Josie on Reddit says, I saved Chloe. It is selfish, but I would always choose my most important person. And my Max was in love with Chloe. And just the thought that Chloe dies alone in the bathroom, thinking no one cares for her. Not her mother, not Rachel, not Max. That the last word she gets to hear is, no one would ever miss your punk ass. That she gets killed by the same asshole that killed Rachel. Fuck no. Rachel had such a good life before fate decided to fuck her over. Max gets the chance to change that. My Max used this chance and kicked fate's ass. And one more reason, I don't like that in the Bay, Sacrifice Arcadia Bay ending, everything gets deleted. That all those beautiful scenes like the railroad, the pool, the dare kiss never happened. And I don't like the message that Max gets her powers, then decides it's a mistake to use them, and still hides behind in the corner and decides to do nothing, like at the beginning. Yeah, the no one would miss your punk ass. That specifically, destroyed me so much at this moment. Because, Max is crying and thinking to herself, I do. I'm watching my TV and crying. It's like, I will. It's so rough. Because you're like, no, oh, man. It's so mean. And then you're like, you have to let it go. Let it happen. It's so rough. But I thought that that's pretty interesting, too, that if she decides it's a mistake to not use her powers, that, Max, even Chloe or other people comment on it through the game, Max, you've changed so much, you're a different person, you're, stronger, or, shit like that. But if she doesn't do anything, then she's still weak and afraid, she was when we met her. And that kind of sucks. You've actually experienced all this change, and I guess she did really still experience it, but then she goes back to old form.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds pretty unappealing.
Yeah, it's kind of a bummer.
Yeah, that's a good point. I didn't really consider that stuff either. Okay, yeah. Next is Slick Shutter on Reddit. Says, I saved the Bay. I think from a dramatic standpoint, I preferred it more since I like the more melancholic, depressing sacrifice for the greater good endings. But it still ends on a somewhat positive note that the butterfly lands on the coffin and kind of reassures Max. In my mind, and I imagine this is, on some spiritual level, Chloe basically saying it's okay and that she's still there. I personally seem to be in the more vocal minority that think that based on various personal interpretation, both endings are completely valid and neither is definitively better than the other. But I know that I prefer the Bay ending because I see the story of Life is Strange as Max being given a week to spend quality time with one of the most special people in her life, and of the futility and acceptance of such powerful things like fate and death. For me, I value the amazing journey given to Max enough to justify having it wiped away from reality. As long as she and Chloe's spirit, can still remember it. This is interesting. Yeah, I guess we had briefly talked about the butterfly landing, but I thought it was more of maybe Rachel Amber type thing.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I guess it could make sense being somehow related to Chloe with being blue and Chloe's hair being blue.
Yeah.
That seems like a fair jump. I don't know how her spirit's going before her for Max to take the picture to save her. I don't know how that exactly works, but as this game has shown, time's pretty complicated.
Yeah, for sure. I kind of agree with Slick Shutter. The more melancholic, depressing ending, it's I kind of like to feel bad sometimes. I don't know. But in that cutscene, man, it was so rough.
Oh, yeah.
Choosing that, I was like, oh, God. But at the same time, you're like, yeah, make me feel bad.
No, totally. If I want to feel bad, this is a good 10 minutes to do it. Just watch this scene and watch Chloe get sacrificed. I feel awful.
My life is meaningless.
Right. Everything's so sad. And yeah, there is something about that. And I like that this one in most practice tries to give you that on the other side. I think that games where there's no consequences or movies or something where it's and everything worked out. That kind of sucks. You've spent this time struggling. It can't only just work out. There has to be fake. Some sort of cost to it, as there is in real life. Usually real life doesn't work out 100% perfect. Usually something's messed up, even when things are good. and let alone when things are bad. Like, usually it's more worse or whatever. And I don't know. There's part of life that is that way. So I think that if it just, all wraps up nicely and it's nothing bad actually happened and everyone lived happy. Yep. Like, I don't know.
This game is a waste of time.
Yeah, then it's like, I guess there's a place for those, but that's not like what I'm going for.
Yeah,
like,
not in this game. It would just make everything meaningless up until this point. Like, nothing would really have mattered if it just ends perfectly for everybody involved.
Yeah.
Now, I like this point too about like both endings are completely valid and neither is definitively better than the other. It's like, I mean, that's true. I mean, if it's kind of where you want to like stake your claim, like with the town or with Chloe.
Right.
So I guess it probably is objectively better. It's getting a whole weird gray area, but objectively better to save more people at the expense of one person, I guess.
No, you're right. And I think what they bring up that's great is that, both are valid to yourself, and evidenced by that everyone else feels that way too. 58 or 48, 52, like everyone's real split on it. It's not like it's a 70-30 one where it's like, oh no, like this is the real ending. Like we all believe that. Instead, it's fairly close. And so I think that affirms that too.
That is nice. Yeah, it's a good point.
Next up, Sarah Al on Reddit says, I chose to save Chloe immediately. My version of Max would never sacrifice Chloe for anything because she is everything to her. The girl that completes her more than anybody else in the world, that girl is worth more than the town. For Chloe to survive, Max has to just do nothing, and that compared to actively killing Chloe and going back, no way. There is no argument to choose Bay, except that more get to live. Her offering herself strengthened my resolve to save her even more. This girl deserves to live. Goodbye, town. Something I really liked in this is that point, this girl completes her more than anything else. So Max, when we met her, she really is pretty removed from people. I mean, she has like a okay friendship with Warren and an okay one with Kate, but then it's basically like bullied by other people. And then we've learned that she has two friends from Seattle when she moved there 5 years ago, who's Fernando and someone else whose name I forget. But she mentions them, I think, in a journal, but there's no text messages from her. There's no communication. Like, they obviously weren't that close. And so really, like, Max probably hasn't had a close friendship in 5 years. Like, this 1 week was probably better friendship time for Max than in the preceding 5 years.
Oh, I'm
some
sure.
Change, like,
for sure.
Since she left, this 1 week with Chloe, like, was way more. And Max having to go on without that. Like, what would Max be in this? So you sacrifice Chloe. Max doesn't really have relationships like this one. This one's special. But, like, you can't go to a therapist and say, hey, I know this sounds crazy, but there was a storm that was going to come, but I had to sacrifice my best friend, and we had this best week ever. But we actually didn't. And, like, I mean, like, you were kind of alone before, but, like,
now you're really alone.
You're really alone. And, like, I don't know if Max could do that.
Yeah.
Like,
also, not even just...
Or, like, and I don't want to put her through it.
Yeah, no. And even just not even being alone in the sense of, like, Chloe's gone, but she had all those other realities she experienced that, like, with Jefferson and all that shit, it's like, what do you do about that? Like, only Chloe knows that she can...
Yeah, she's the only one you've even shared that with.
Yeah, and, like, probably the only one that would actually believe it.
Right.
Like, so it's just, yeah. I guess that's still selfish because it's about Max, but I don't really feel like that's wrong necessarily.
Yeah, I think it's selfish in a different way. Like, it's not just, I only want you for me or something, but, like, they like, need each other sort of deal.
For sure they do. Oh, yeah. Next up is Magic the Alakazam on Reddit. He said, always bae, never bae. Bae being, like significant other bae. From a selfish standpoint, my Max would have done anything for Chloe. From a moral standpoint, I can't justify murdering someone to prevent a disaster. Not that I would care about being immoral if the situation was reversed and if you had to use your powers to save Chloe rather than the other way around. And from a character standpoint, I can't stand to see all of Max's character development washed away because the lessons of the Bay ending are don't take risks. Do what society tells you. Don't take control of your own life. Yeah, that's a good point. The moral standpoint. Yeah, that's interesting. The moral standpoint of justifying murdering someone to prevent a disaster. Like, that kind of goes back to the whole question of, well, is it morally good to save 500 people or one person at the expense of 500 people? It's like, I don't know, man. Fuck this ending.
No, and your culpability or whatever in it. So, by Chloe not sacrificing Chloe, you didn't kill anyone. Like, the storm killed the town. Like, that's
true.
Not necessarily your fault. You didn't prevent it.
Yeah.
But you didn't cause it necessarily.
Yeah.
Versus, if you kill Chloe, like, and go back, like, you're more clearly killing Chloe.
But again, you didn't kill Chloe. Nathan killed Chloe.
Yeah. No, I don't know. No, I guess that throws it back into the loop of culpability, which is interesting. Yeah. It's like that test or whatever you get in philosophy, like 101, where it's like there's a train and it's set to run over 5 people, but you can pull the lever and it will only run over 1. And then the question is like, well, which one's right? And the thought is, oh, well, you should save the 5 people by letting the 1 get killed. But then it's like, okay, well, what if the 5 are regular people, but the 1 is Einstein? Well, then what do you do? Or, whatever.
Kill Einstein, man.
Yeah. Right, or whatever. But it creates that. But it's interesting because this really does create that. This ending is that question.
Yep. And I don't feel bad choosing that.
Yep.
Save the 1 person.
Yeah. Sorry, town.
Yep.
Then David on Reddit says, Bay over Bay. Chloe must die. Is it cruel? You bet. This is a tragic story. Max has learned nothing except to continually be selfish if he chooses to destroy that town. And make no mistake, it is Max's fault if the town is wiped out. He feels differently than us. Yep. I recently had to put my best friend down. Logan was an elderly dog I raised from a pup. I did everything I could to prolong his life, but soon I realized I was keeping him alive for me. Because I didn't want to let go of him, it was the hardest decision I've ever made in my life. Soon after, I completed Life is Strange, and the experience definitely informed my decision. It also helped me decide Chloe's fate in the alt timeline. Interesting side point. Sure, there are some bad eggs in Arcadia Bay, but that's hardly enough to vilify the entire town and say their lives matter less than Chloe. Maybe it depends on your experience and what point in your life you play the game. Letting go is never easy to do, but it often has to be done to move on. I believe in a real case scenario, keeping Chloe alive would have driven them apart, driven one of them crazy with guilt, and driven them apart or worse. Have a good day. Yeah. His perspective is pretty interesting.
Yeah.
Sorry about your dog.
Yeah,
especially.
That sucks, man.
That totally sucks. Super shitty. And I thought his point, too, of what point you are in your life and how you would make decisions. I mean, being like intrinsically tied, you're having to do that recently and then playing Life is Strange. I can 100% see where you're coming from in that. So, yeah. The town isn't all villains. There are bad people there, but there are also lots of good ones.
Yeah. Man, that sucks.
Yeah, that's rough.
Yeah, and I that's a good point at the end, though. Like, it would be hard for them just to, like, move on and be like, oh, we didn't save, Chloe's entire family, all of whatever friends they had there. Like, that would be really difficult to live with. Both, especially since they both knew that, like, Max could have done something about it.
Right.
Like, I could see at some point Chloe being pissed at, like, Max. Like, man, you should have, like... I feel like this would come up again. There's no way this would just be, like, an end of discussion, never talk about this again.
Right.
This would be, like, life-changing for sure.
No, yeah. Life once they leave would be, definitely different.
Pretty bad for a while, even.
Yeah. I would think that with Chloe, she'd probably have, like, a lot of survivor's guilt. Like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, or feeling like she has to be something to earn this for Max. Like, I need to cure cancer, or I need to, like, do something great to be worth a town of people. Like, I can't just be me. Like, how could that ever count? So I think she would have that on that end, and I think Max could, I don't know, maybe feel like she chose for Chloe. Like, I bet that could feel weird. It's like, did I kill your mom and you didn't really want me to?
Yeah.
Or something. Like, it could be hard. I think that, like, the saddest ending of all would be if you chose to save Chloe and then Max and Chloe don't work out after this. Like, if they just become really distant and sad, like, or hate each other.
Yeah.
That would be really sad. But if they can make it through it and it like bonds them and they come close together, then that probably is like the best ending. Like that would be awesome. Like if they could overcome this together and like live a good life or whatever. So,
oh God, that'd be hard though.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it'd be a lot for sure.
Nice. All right. Next up is Aleph on Reddit. Says that I saved Chloe. There's a common trope where young women gain superpowers. Is that the right word? Trope?
Yeah.
When young women gain superpowers and then have to give them up for the greater good. And I'm hard-pressed to come up with a male example. Maybe Frodo in Lord of the Rings comes close. Maybe. And given the choice between enacting that and letting the town be destroyed, I chose to let the town be temporarily destroyed. Max has time travel powers and she's only barely begun to master them. So I figure she can find a way to find a better final timeline eventually, but she can't do that if she gives up her powers and lets Chloe die. Also, my Max was totally committed to Chloe and would do just about anything for her, so goodbye Arcadia Bay. Also, the little series of touches and looks when Chloe stops the truck in the Bay ending is about the best physical acting in the entire series, in my opinion. That's a good point. About like if Max gets better control of her powers, if she could go back in time and like just fucking fix everything. I mean, I guess that's possible too.
No, yeah.
But yeah, clearly if we kill Chloe, that's it. Like,
yeah, she's
no
just
more.
gone.
Yeah, no more. Not gonna use it anymore.
Yeah,
man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of interesting potential with that because Max has used her power some for a week, and when she uses it too much, her nose bleeds. But if she could figure out what's right before the nosebleed limit, or how to make those, what it takes to get there longer, like if she builds up her stamina or whatever for it.
Yeah.
There's interesting possibilities there.
Yeah, and as she went, she learned like different like wrinkles to it. Like, I can go back in time with like photos, or I can stop time, like what she did with Kate. That was more of an accident, but like there's things like that I'm sure she could learn more of. So yeah, I wonder if that just, I mean, obviously we won't know if that ever happens or could happen, but I might take that gamble.
Yeah, definitely. Last, I've got a longer post from Gorechild on Reddit, and I cut some of it out. It's still pretty long, but there were a lot of good points, so I felt like they needed shared. They say, I saved Chloe. Now, I've talked about this topic before, and I'm sure I will again at some point down the road. A couple of points, I truly believe that neither ending is right or wrong. It is to the individual and their interpretation of the events and situations. Also, neither ending is canon outside of your own thoughts and opinions about the game. Genuinely don't think that Don't Nod will ever get to a point where either ending to any degree is of canonicity. If anything is ever resolved canon-wise, I believe it will be because Square Enix pushing for it to make a true sequel or another spin-off like Before the Storm. Actually, I guess we'll pause. Maybe we'll pause on this one as we go since it's longer.
Yeah.
I think this one is interesting, and agree. I don't think there's really a right or wrong ending, like we've said before this, but not a wrong one, and that I don't think that they would ever choose a real ending either themselves. Like, that's what makes this game good.
Yeah.
You can't... I think the only way you could resolve this, and I would play both of them, is if you made 2 games off of these endings, which even if you made them shorter, like 3 episode games of like, okay, this is post Save Chloe, this is post Save Town, and what that's like. I could get into that, but I think and maybe they announced some comics that they were putting out sometime. Maybe they'll be able to do it, but since it's not the video game, it's not canon, but it's a good way to explore it. But,
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because if you just make a game based on Chloe living, well, that just like makes everyone who chose not to kill Chloe like, our decision was insignificant because this isn't real,
Right, because you guys chose to make this other game.
Yeah, that'd be kind of rough.
Yeah, so I hope that if they ever do it, I hope they just make both. Because then it's still vague. Then you can play the game that's yours. For me, I'd just play both of them.
For sure.
I'd buy 2 games.
5, sure.
Yeah. Yeah, they do it, I'm in. Continuing, I also think that both endings have selfish qualities that I interpret as uncharacteristic for Max. She always comes off as rather selfless in my eyes. You either let a town get destroyed for your friend, which, regardless of how much you like or love Chloe, and I do love Chloe, not in a romantic way, purely on the level where I think the character herself is beautifully realized, There will be a heavy death toll. No matter how strong and sturdy this or that building is or how many bomb shelters an Arcadia Bay has, you can't escape the fact that innocent people will die. Yes, I saved Chloe, and damn it, I'd do it again. But I'm not in denial that a lot of people will die because of this. A lot of pain and anguish results from the choice. Or do you get to live 5 days reconciling with that friend, bonding in a way that is stronger than either of you had before, stronger than her bond with Rachel Amber in my mind, becoming strong, confident young woman in the process, and using your time travel powers to do so. Then, when you save Arcadia Bay, the person who is intrinsic to Max's character development dies, having never experienced any of this, negating her character arc as it never occurred. The world goes on with the bad guys getting arrested, or what have you. Oh, and she has the foresight over a few aspects over the next couple of days. Yeah, this is... I thought something that's good in here that I like is that they just recognize that the death count's there. It's real, like that sort of deal. Like we've talked about some. Is that I've seen some people kind of be like, oh, well, maybe Joyce is fine. Maybe Warren is fine. Maybe this thing. And I think for this decision to be as weighty, like it does have to have those people die. Like innocent lives have to be lost. And that doesn't mean that every character we met has to die. But probably most of them do. Yeah. And if they're not, then they probably are hurt. Like, it would be like if everyone at Blackwell's just fine. Like, oh, actually, Blackwell's like also has a bomb shelter and they're all fine. Like, meh.
Yeah, and too, like, okay, let's say Joyce and Warren, like David and Frank do live. That's still really selfish. Okay, well, you still killed 400 people, but sorry, the ones that you know or like survives. It's like, it's still pretty selfish. Like,
yeah, that's true. If you only killed red shirts, it's still selfish. Like, continuing, it's a complex choice. Don't think for a second that just because you decided in a blink of an eye when you first played the choice that it wasn't a complex one. The game had been subtly and on occasion not so subtly giving you information and emotional hooks all the way through for both sides.
That's true.
You were putting together the answer to this choice painstakingly through the course of the game subconsciously. Every little scrap of newspaper, poster, journal entry, character interaction, and conversation had a hand in deciding fate of the story. Then, lastly, I love hearing other people explain why they did what they did. It's fascinating to me and a testimony to Don't Nod that the game they created that we all talk about 3 years after the fact. And as many criticisms as I have in regards to the ending situation, it would be insincere of me to say it didn't resonate on a very profound level for me, as I'm sure it did for a lot of you. We are all used to playing games where there's a good ending to be had, even if the game includes a myriad of endings, there's always a good one. The fact that Life is Strange not only doesn't have a good or bad ending, but two choices that have drastic consequences that emotionally turbulent, morally ambiguous, and unclear makes for refreshing, if not heartbreaking change.
Yep. I agree.
Super well said.
Yep.
I know there's a lot of games where it's like, there's 10 endings or something like that, but, if you do it right, you can get, like, the most good one. Mm-hmm. Or if you do it wrong, maybe you're really bad or whatever.
Yeah.
It's sort of deal like that. But this one, like, it just leaves you gray, and it's going to hurt no matter what kind of, and I don't know, well done. And that we still talk about the game years later.
For sure. And, like, I guess one of my final thoughts is really related to this, about how the game, like, leads you to this decision.
Right.
I agree so much. It's, like, every single, maybe not even directly, but every single decision or interaction or, like Gorechild said, like, kind of informs you one way or another on this final, like, decision of what you're going to do with Chloe or the town. So I definitely feel that.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's our feedback for this. So thanks for the feedback, everyone. It's awesome. Really enjoyed interacting with those thoughts. Next, we're going to just hit up some general thoughts about the episode or the game, I guess, that we wanted to talk about. So one thing that I really like in this is seeing certain dialogue have new meanings in episode 5 that we saw previously. So like Jefferson giving his spiel about, like, I could capture you in a dark place kind of thing. In episode 1, when I heard it, I probably felt similar to Max, like, this is kind of boring lecture. Photography stuff. It didn't mean anything to me. But then hearing it now, in episode 5, when we had to go back, it was horrible.
Yeah.
And so awful because he's a monster. And it was right in front of us, but we could have never realized. Or Nathan shooting Chloe, saying no one would ever miss your punk ass, would they? When it happened, I was just like, that's kind of a mean thing to say.
Yeah.
But hearing it now, it meant so much more and hurt way more because I spent so much time where I spent with you that I would miss you. Like, so really good job with that and how they did their writing. I thought that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Those are really cool little, like, they weren't like even that crazy. The little small things. It was like, oh my god, how did I miss this the first time?
No, right, yeah. It's just a small phrase or whatever, and not even super significant, but you just twist it a little and it actually matters a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's like foreshadowing.
Yeah.
Yeah, one thing I wanted to say too, like the song Spanish Sahara at the end of If You Choose to Sacrifice Chloe. Man, I like love that song. One of both of our old roommates showed me that song like 6 or 7 years ago. I've like listened to it pretty frequently since then. And I've listened to it since playing this, and it's like, fuck. It's kind of ruined it. Yeah. I mean, I don't like cry when I listen to it, but I'm like, oh, man, this isn't just a good song anymore. Now it's like really emotional. Feels like I don't know, some really close friend just died every time I listen to it. You know, It's like equating a song with some dramatic memory.
Oh, yeah.
So, thanks, Don't Nod. You ruined this entire song for me. I still like it, but...
No, it brings it.
Yeah, it's like super emotional now.
Yeah. Oh,
also, just a very good song for that ending sequence.
Oh, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Like, forget the horror hair, leave it here, all that. Like, that's, that going on, and that's what... Max can't stay in Arcadia Bay at that point, right? She just has to leave. Like,
yeah, I don't know what you do.
You leave Chloe behind and all of it. Like, you can't... She's not going to stay there. No way.
Yep.
But yeah, related, I thought the music through this whole game was great.
Yeah.
I really liked it. I really liked too. So many of these songs, I have on like playlists and things like that, and it's like they all just bring me to the scenes they're from. I really like Obstacles on the other end of that. It's Chloe and Max like getting ready to triumphantly move forward together, like in spite of this adversity they're facing or something like that. Like it's awesome. Or any other songs and just the scenes they bring and remembering the sequence, like, oh, this was when Max walks down the hallway or whatever. Like, it's great. They really chose their music right, and it's super enjoyable. So, great job, Life is Strange.
Yes, very good job. Other than just saying this game's really good, really fun. I'm excited to play the Before the Storm part of it. This is one of the best games I've ever played, like hands down. Yeah,
same here. Love it. Great game. Last thing I wanted to hit up is I wanted to recommend some fan fiction. So I don't know if any listeners are like me, but when I finished Life is Strange, I was like, I need more Max and Chloe. Like, this can't be the end of it. Like, what happens after they leave Arcadia Bay or, any of that stuff. And so I read a whole bunch, probably for like 2 months right after I played the game or something like that. And so I wanted to share a couple recommendations for you. I never read any fan fiction before this either. Like, I thought it was probably weird stuff. Like, all right, we got to have Mulder and Scully date. Like, that was kind of my vision of what fan fiction was.
Yeah.
And I think there is a lot that is that, but I think there's also lots of good stuff. And when I was reading through Life is Strange fan fiction, if these were like books, I would have bought them or something like that. Like, I like them. They're pretty good. But a couple of recommendations. The first one is called All That Remains by Hot Dog Man, which was awesome. Great username, reference to the game. And so pure Pricefield, description of it is pure Pricefield fluff for those who wish they had more closure from the ending. Setting, 2 girls on a cliff in a storm watching a bay have a very bad day. This one was nice. This was the first one I'd read right out of finishing the game. And so it's a lot of things work out for Max and Chloe, and they get to start this new life together, and things kind of work out mostly positives kind of thing. And
that's good.
Yeah, it was nice because, after a turbulent game with lots of feels, this mostly had good feels. So that was nice. Next one is called Better Than by Israel Blarg. The description is Chloe has been dead for 5 months, and Mac can no longer live with the choice she made. She tried to go back, but her powers are gone. Or are they just dormant? Could she trigger them again with the right motivation? She can only think of one way to find out. Drama thriller with time traveling, mind twist, and tons of Pricefield. This one's pretty cool. This one's really interesting. It goes on lots of twists and turns I didn't expect, and it's really, really fun. It's cool. And that premise, too, that Max couldn't use the powers, that's pretty rough. If you sacrifice Chloe, but you don't have them.
You can't even fix it if you wanted to.
Yeah. Then last is Play Crack the Sky by Mike Heddy and Tomorrow Heart. It says, in the end, Max chooses Chloe over everything, leading to the destruction of Arcadia Bay. But they soon realize that fate is not pleased with their defiance. Left with nothing but each other, they must outrun the ever-growing wrath of destiny while confronting what it truly means to choose one person over the world. What it means to willingly crack the sky open for the one that you love. This one's awesome because the storm follows them. So it destroys Arcadia Bay, and then they go somewhere else, and the storm shows back up, and so they're sort of on the run.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's really cool. I really, really like this one. Yeah, so those were a couple of recommendations. If people haven't read any fan fiction, definitely check it out. I really enjoyed it.
Awesome. I guess it leaves us with the next thing we're going to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, next episode we put out is going to be on The Last of Us. I think we're just going to do the whole game in one episode, talk about major points, things we liked. There's probably not many things we don't like about it. So, we're going to cover that. And then after that, we're going to play through Life is Strange Before the Storm. That'll come out sometime end of May-ish.
Yeah, and we'll put out the first episode for that. So we'll be back on our kind of episode by episode, but we wanted to take a short break in between the Life is Strange and to play an awesome game in The Last of Us. But yeah, I guess that's what we got for this episode. So if you have any more thoughts on Life is Strange or I guess The Last of Us or Before the Storm, you can send them our way now.
Yeah.
But you can email us at thegreateststoryeverplayed@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/thegreateststoryeverplayed or on Twitter at storyeverpod. And if you like our show, please rate and review it on iTunes. Let your friends know about it. We had a lot of fun doing Life is Strange. And I'm really excited to do these other games too.
Oh, yeah, me too.
But yeah, we'll see you next time.
Later.